I used to eat oats daily. These days though, I've put a halt to the routine. And in this video, I'll delve into the scientific reason behind my decision and discuss what I've chosen to eat instead. My name is Claudia, I'm a 45 years old holistic nutrition coach with a master's in human nutrition and dietetics, and I help busy women in the 40s to take control of their health. For years, my morning began with the same breakfast ritual: a hearty bowl of oats blended with chia seeds, flax seeds, goji berries, yogurt, peanut butter, and typically an apple. However, my deep dive into perimenopause and the menstrual cycle, driven by a desire to regulate my period, nudged me toward tweaking my daily diet, starting with breakfast. You see, I have learned about the follicular phase, which is approximately the first 2 weeks of our cycle. And I now know that during this time, our bodies are busy producing estrogen in preparation for ovulation. What I found particularly intriguing is estrogen's predilection for low blood sugar levels. This means that during the follicular phase, it might actually be beneficial to moderate our carbohydrate intake. This revelation prompted me to reconsider my go-to breakfast, which, despite being nutritious and delicious, was quite carb-heavy, largely due to the oats and apple. Specifically, the meal has 64.6 grams of carbs, with 19 grams from fiber, which leaves us with 45.6 grams of net carbs. The net carbs are the amount of total carbs minus the fiber. I do love my breakfast, also because it's easy to make and it saved me plenty of time because I have automated the entire process. Not to mention the peace of mind that comes from not having to make decisions over my morning meal. Anyway, after learning about estrogen and with the goal of supporting its production and keeping my blood sugar low, I started thinking of ways to make some changes in my breakfast. It was clear that the ingredients with the heaviest carb loads were the oats and the apple, so I decided to replace them with almond flour and berries. This swap cut the net carb content roughly in half, from about 45.6 grams to around 20.1 grams. That's quite impressive, isn't it? With the change from oats to almond flour, I have also increased my vitamin E intake from pretty much 0 to 22% of the recommended daily value, and magnesium from 4 to 12%. These micronutrients come highly recommended during our menstrual phase. Magnesium for its ability to alleviate cramps and instill calm, and vitamin E for its anti-inflammatory properties that can reduce symptoms and support our immune system. By choosing berries over an apple, the fruit's net carb fall from 25 grams to 10 grams. Plus, they are loaded with antioxidants and contain high amount of vitamin C, a potent anti-inflammatory that's beneficial during menstruation. Now, I'm well aware that those two changes will increase the price of my breakfast, since almond flour is definitely more expensive than oats and berries are more expensive than apples, at least where I live. So to balance costs, I opt for frozen berries, which I'm not overly fond of in colder months. So my solution is to thaw small quantities in the refrigerator, ready to use when needed. Now, does all this mean that I won't be eating oats and apples ever again? Quite the opposite, actually. Let's have a look at what happens to our body and hormones in the second phase of our cycle. After ovulation, we move to luteal phase, when our body starts producing progesterone that helps the uterus lining get thicker, making it ready in case the egg gets fertilized. If it doesn't, progesterone levels go down, reaching its lowest level right before menstruation. That's when the uterus lining sheds and the cycle starts over with our period again. If our body doesn't produce enough progesterone, PMS worsens, periods might be skipped, and the uterus struggles to support a fertile egg. So how can we support progesterone production? It turns out that unlike estrogen, progesterone actually like to have a little bit higher levels of blood sugar. So during the luteal phase, oats and apples return as value allies with all their benefits, especially the rich fiber content. In fact, the recipe with oats and apple contains 19 grams of fiber, compared to the 15.3 grams for the almond flour and berries variant. And the difference is even higher when I switch the apple with a pear. Now, considering we should be eating approximately 30 grams or even more of fiber daily, that makes an important difference, don't you think? I can tell you, I definitely notice a difference in my bowel movements. If you have watched more of my videos, you know I'm a strong advocate of variety in our diet to support gut health and ensure we meet our micronutrient needs. I believe that while making these kind of changes to support our hormonal health, we are also benefiting from an increased variety in our diet. So why not give it a go? Now, considering your body is different than mine and you might also be living in a different country than me, based on this example, what changes can you make to your breakfast that could support your hormonal health and your menstrual cycle? I would love to read your thoughts, so don't hesitate to share them in the comments below. In next week's video, I will discuss another dietary change I have embraced since learning more about my menstrual cycle, which has played a role in restoring my period after months of being missed. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. Meanwhile, I recommend watching this video next about 9 hormone lessons I wish I had learned in my 20s. If you need personalized help to improve your health, consider work with me through the link in the description box. Thanks so much for tuning in e ci vediamo nel prossimo video. Ciao!